Hey guys, my name is Laura Steinbach, and I'm here to show you how I generally do document automation. So the first thing that I like to do is format the documents after, obviously, I get all the documents from the client. So the form I have here is JDF 577 Extreme Risk Protection Order Information Sheet, and this is from the state of Colorado. So if you want to follow along, you can. But generally, what I mean by formatting is creating tables. So, depending on the client, um, some clients want to preserve this underline here that you see on forms. And that's mainly I've noticed that that's mainly the case when they either have like intake forms they like using with those underlines or court forms in particular, especially if the client or not the client, but the client's client is filling them out, if you get what I mean. So so generally I usually preserve those underlines, but during that first interview is when we figure out whether you want those underlines or not preserved. But if you do, you're going to learn this neat trick here today. So I do this trick by using tables. And we can preserve underlines by using this border, these border options. So before we dive into that, we're going to have to first create that table. So I just need to count the amount of columns we need. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're just going to insert a table with 7 columns in one row. Just going to copy the text over and play with those margins so we can get it lined right, or as close as you can to the original. All right. So now we're just going to remove all the borders and add in the underlines where we want those lines preserved. So ta-da, as you can see here, we replicated that pretty easily. Let me just delete this text. You can see we have it the way we want it looking. Now the next step I like to do is on the layout option for tables, go to AutoFit and hit Fix Column Width. And that prevents the text from shifting everything to the next side. So let me show you an example before I did the AutoFit. As you can see here, the column formatting is off because we don't have that fix width option attached. So if I highlight this entire table and do fix column width, you'll see that the spacing is preserved, which is what we generally want, especially when the text is tight like this. So that's an example of how I format tables. And I'm just going to do a time skip since I am going to do the same thing for all of these lines since we want those preserved as well. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, welcome back, guys. So as you can see, I made tables for all of these. And another tip when you are making tables that are consecutive is to hit enter so that you don't have to worry about having the tables connected, so you can play with their margins. So let me give you an example of that since it's kind of hard to see here with these other tables being highlighted. As you can see, I just hit enter here and then I inserted another table. It just makes it easier if you don't want to keep inserting more rows, because I know that sometimes playing the margins on different rows is kind of impossible. If you do want them to be all in the same table, you should still do that method of hitting enter after every table you make and then inserting a row like this and hitting the delete, and that would connect them. And you just need to play with the underlines again to remove them. But generally, I like keeping them separated by at least one line, since that also mimics the natural spacing of the document usually. So another aspect of formatting is also including the boxes or the symbol boxes that I'll need when it comes to document automation. So generally, I would love to use these types of boxing or these types of box styles, but unfortunately, it's really hard to find a box that looks like this with a cross through it. So what I end up doing, I take this symbol and I also have the crossed out symbol. You can easily Google these symbols too. And I know it's not going to make sense right now, but when we actually automate the document, you'll see why I do this. But generally, I replace all of these preset boxes with the crossed out box and this empty box, so that when we actually automate the document, we can breeze through this process of conditional logic. So this is how I like to format my documents. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me too. We also offer, or not we, A2J Tech also offers a Udemy course that goes more in depth about these tips and tricks. So I highly encourage you to check that out too. So in the next video, I'm going to actually make the interview so we can automate this document. So I'll see you there soon.